Okay, I'm recording. Okay, this one makes me think. Like this one is something makes me think.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's just go. Okay.
All right. Well, welcome to a very special episode of Cosmic Road today, where we are once again joined by Anita Conan, great remote viewer, and we have a very interesting target for you today. So, welcome back to the show, Anita.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
We have a really interesting target, and I've told her what it is. She is just so you know how this works. She is viewing the target blind. I just told her about an hour ago what the target, what she had been viewing over the last few days. But I give her a sequence of numbers, a randomly generated sequence of numbers that I have mentally linked, hopefully, with the target. And the target this time around was the Las Vegas backyard alien, or at least one of them. The one that Scott Roeder analyzed, the cloaked figure over the fence. And I kept the tasking very simple for this one. I just, with the picture of the cloaked figure over the fence, in the simple description, please describe the target. And all right. So she did the viewing, and it's been a few days. I think you've done it over the last couple of days. Is that right?
Today and yesterday.
Today and yesterday. And about an hour ago, I sent her an hour ago, she sent me her information first, and then I told her what the target was. And so she's had a little time to reflect on it. And so now we're going to go over her data and her thoughts on the target. So take it away, Anita.
It's another weird one. Uh, this one makes me think, like in hindsight, but that's the beauty of having a blind target. You don't know what it is, so you're just blindly looking and recording impressions. So let's do a screen
Oh,
share.
yeah, let me hang on. Let me give you permission to share the screen. Okay, there you go. There you go.
Hmm. Sorry, I'm looking.
Take your time.
I'm trying to find where the screen always does this because it's green color. I don't see it because everything else is white. All right, let's see. You're gonna see my report, pictures, and this one. All right, here's the text. Let's just go here. So this is the target feedback. Can you see it?
Yep.
So this is what Jack sent me after I sent the report. Target 6. It's our sixth target.
Yeah, I had to
Vegas.
crop out Angel and his family. That was the family whose backyard this thing was in.
Okay. Vegas alien. Go to the date this picture was taken and describe the shadowy being behind the fence. So, where to start? So,
Yeah,
I
I didn't
go.
want you describing the fence or the trees, so I had to.
Well, I have fence. I have the fence in my report, and I have
Okay.
trees. But we're gonna see. I don't have a shadowy being. I have other things that maybe are it. First of all, before we start, just to help me wrap my mind around this, is this captured on video or photograph?
This is a video. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the Las Vegas alien situation, so there was a UFO over Las Vegas. There was a green meteor-like thing that may or may not have been a meteor.
At
At
the
the
same
same time,
time?
At the same
Oh,
time, there was a family that reported aliens in their backyard, and they went in the backyard. They had video. This is the still from the video. They weren't aware of this thing behind the fence. They were looking at some other beings further back in the yard. That when you really enhance the footage, you can kind of see. The police came out,
the
and
police in my report!
you do
I
have
had
police in
the
your report.
policeman. I'm sorry, I got so excited. I knew there was a policeman chasing a UFO. He's in there. Sorry, that was so good.
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, the police also caught the UFO on camera.
I have
So
someone taking a picture of a UFO in my session.
okay, okay, nice, nice.
Okay, some points.
So yeah, so the family sees these aliens or whatever in the backyard. They call the police.
Wow.
First, the family goes into the backyard and with filming it, and they have their whatever happens in the backyard. Then the police come and they do their thing. We
Yeah.
don't have the body cam footage. If you know what body cam is, the
I
cameras that are on
know. They
the
never
police officers.
released.
We don't have the body cam footage of the backyard,
That
which
would have
is
been good.
interesting. So they have
Hmm.
not released that. So we don't know if the police saw anything or if their cameras picked up anything, but we do have this video of the family going into the backyard, and that's what this still is from. Later, people have examined this. There's a well-known crime scene analyst who has gone on the news stations talking about his analysis of this video, and he detected this being behind the fence that is apparently cloaked. It seems very large, maybe 8 feet tall or something, and it is cloaked. Nobody could see it with their naked eye, and it's cloaked from the camera, and even to the point where it cloaked itself from the recording equipment. There are fewer pixels that the camera recorded where this shadowy thing is. Isn't that
Cool.
weird? So, so what is it? That's where you come in. Hopefully you can give us insight
Hopefully.
into what was going on in Angel's backyard.
Oh gosh, I'm overwhelmed because this feedback is just confusing. But let's just see what I have, right? Let's not try to fit the data to the target. Let's just see. So the first element I have is usually the most important one, and it's an object. It's not a life form. So here we have it, and the first paragraph is me doing the initial probes on this object. And there you can see my notes. This is the full report. I did not make a summary. So I have an object, which oddly, RV wanted to describe it with behavior kind of, personality kind of character, which is very unusual. It happens, but it's not, it's rare. So I have an the fact that it's orange is, okay, so every time I have an object, it starts out as an orange shape. And later, as I look closer, it will turn out to have its actual color. Orange is always what it starts because it's an object, right? So if it's orange object, it's not really orange most cases, but it's an object. That's what orange means.
And
Same
it's
with,
red if it's a life form. Is that
I
right?
was about to say, you're
Okay, okay.
learning. That was exactly what I was going to say next. Thank you. And if it's a life form, it's just a red shape.
Now,
Exactly.
just a question. If you were seeing a being that was like a synthetic being or an artificially created being, would that show up as red or orange?
Well, if it's artificial, if it's a thing, if it doesn't have life, real life, then it would be orange.
Yeah.
Red means living being, real living being. So we have this object, and the fact that it's orange is just means object. It's not really going to be orange. They never are. So this interesting behavioral personality characteristics as I probe it. So as I'm touching it, flicking it, seeing, pushing it around, it's stingy. It likes to bite. It growls. It gets angry. That kind of weird. It wants to be left alone. It bites me. Weird for an object, right? Could just mean it has sharp things that hurt my hand, but this was weird. Anyway, that's what I have. I'm gonna have to skim through the text, but anyone who wants to read it, I publish all my reports on my website, or you can just pause here. And it gave me sensations of carnivore, even though it's an object. Um, it doesn't want to be moved. So I'm just gonna pick interesting data. So for this object, something interesting has, let's see here, it deflates like an air let out balloon. It wants to rise up, but it cannot. It has some stingy parts that bite me. Could just be sharp things as well. Here I saw something interesting. It has police looking at it. Cool, huh?
I like that. I like
Yeah, I
that.
like that very much. Very specific and very early on my second probe in the whole session. It doesn't want to be moved. There are no people on it. It is fastened. It feels stuck. It has two eyes. It has done some tasks. It has, I don't know how to read that, but I just know how to write it. Feverish. It has feverish people looking at it, like hectic, angry, chaotic people were looking at it.
Well, I mean, that could be Angel's family. I mean, I'm sure they were in a heightened state when they were looking at that.
Could be
Yeah, if
the
they were,
police as well.
fever, or the police. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It has been on the news.
It was
It
definitely on the news.
cool. It is worth gold, means it has some monetary value. It's valuable. It is not graceful. It has something ghastly inside, some kind of wires and threads across it. It is not particularly heavy when we try to lift it. Now is something really weird and creepy. It goes inside of a vacuum space. Vacuum here refers to a region without air. Very strange. Like,
Well, I mean, if it's a spacefaring being, then that would make sense. Does that mean that it could survive in the vacuum of space?
oh, I wouldn't know that,
Okay.
but
And I know it's an object, but maybe
yeah,
that's
but
why it could
like
survive.
vacuum, it doesn't have to be outer space. It could just be like, I don't know, like other dimension, or it just had some weird vibe like that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know, some kind of place without air. That's really weird. It shines and glimmers. So presumably this is the main object, the thing behind the fence, right? Um, it has no spaces for people inside it. It is vacuum evacuated chamber inside. So inside of this object is a chamber that has no air in it. Weird. It is looked at in the summer and so forth. It looks like a bundle of mess, wires or buttons, hairs, fibers across it. It has no hands on it, touching it. It cannot be picked up anymore. No matter what we try, we cannot pick it up. It glows and glimmers, so we see the light that it, and RV said, ettrudes. Sometimes RV gives me weird. All of this comes from remote viewing, like a download, the text, except the things that I write in parentheses are me explaining how to clarify what RV said.
I know extrude is a word. Maybe
Yes,
intrude is a
like
word.
emanate. I think it
Yeah.
means like emanate. So it's emanating a light. So it makes me wonder, this black figure behind the fence. I mean, it's something that is captured on a video. So what is a video? It is things, although darkness is the opposite of light emanation. But anyway, this thing is glowing. We see the light that it emanates. I would use that word. Right, so that's the first element I have, but it's an object. This is not a life form. It is not living in any way. So let's keep going. I mean, this usually after a session, I can sum it up and say, here's the answer. For this one, we need to stop and think a little bit. And maybe people watching can comb through my material and give some suggestions, because this one needs some kind of examination for us to understand. I'm a bit confused, but I think I was on the target side. We'll see. Another element. So at the beginning of a session, I just see elements, things, and they're spread out here and there. I just get this thing, this thing, this thing, and I start looking at them. So here's the second thing that I see. It's a pole, and the object that I just described is attached to this pole. So I look at the pole a bit. It's a solid object. We don't really need to know more than that. No life forms come here to this pole. Nothing angry here or evil. Nothing fastened with hate, no mad purpose. Things like this is also data. Yeah, and I had impressions of an interesting character, a man. However, I was never shown him as a life form element, but RV told me about him, but did not show me the red life form element, which is unusual. Usually, if there's going to be a person which is part of the story, RV will show me the red element shape as that this is one of our things. But no, for this one, it was just telling about him as a story from a distance. So this person, this pole was made by this person. This man, he feels like an engineer. So I write about him here as well. I caught him while examining this pole structure. So this engineer man, he was brilliant. He feels like a noble type of scientist, someone who's very proud of his work. He shows up later as well. There's a lot of data, like it has to be read all through because it's all part of it. It's just about piecing it together because I couldn't really do that myself. This is one of those targets. No life form here, also at this pole, no life form. That's important because we're wondering if this thing is a life form. A mechanic made it, built it out of a great image and design. And then RV says, and this is still the pole, which is attached to our main thing. RV says, no idea what this was made of, meaning me or RV does not know what material it is made of. I hear a loud kaboom at the orange object is presumably the shadowy figure. There are no life forms here. It is nothing idiotic. Someone is very proud of this mess, a chaotic conundrum. All right, so here again, do you see the highlight when I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So now we're there. So again, looking at the main element, which maybe is the shadowy figure or connected to. Lots of wires or cables, shines. Someone noble or arrogant made it. It has not been on the television yet, this pole, or this object. It has a voice box for sound emanation. And here also about the engineer, the engineer is very annoying. He has built it. He likes to think that he's very arrogant. I saw things being put together with glue. And I find something which is able to take photographs. There's machinery, operations work, a working process.
So I hate to break in. Okay, so you
No, come
say
on.
this one has not been on the news or TV, but the first object seems like it was on, like the when we started, something was on TV or the news. So this may be a different object.
I would say that I'm probably looking at, yeah, that's contradicting. I'm looking again at the thing that was on the news. However, I'm probably looking at a specific part of it, a specific function that would not be known. But again, the mention of being on TV is relevant. It's a bit messy and blurry at this early stage. And if you look at one thing, maybe that was on the news, that concept or object or component, and you look just next to it, maybe that thing wasn't something behind or under. That's how it can go. But yet, that it's still mentioning the news is also, even when things are said that things are not or were not, is also data, because RV doesn't just mention news or TV out of nothing. It's something to do with, you know.
Well,
Um,
the news stations in America have definitely been covering the story,
yes,
especially when it was fresh, but now they're starting to cover it again because of this new analysis.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen a facility which was huge, had a high ceiling. We'll get back to what it might mean later. Guarded facility, a warehouse type of room with a high ceiling, several guards. Mm, RV finds some weird ions, and we'll later find some interesting material. RV's finding some weird science things here that we don't
Could this
really.
be a place where they took the ship, if there was a ship?
Maybe we'll see what I wrote. Heavy wrenches have been used on the equipment, heavy tools. So we will get to it's interesting you talk about a UFO. I'm glad I asked you to tell me more about this target, because I wouldn't have known that there was a UFO which is connected, because we have something like that. Mm. So I'm in the correct time period, I presume. Mid 1900s and after, like 1950s, 1960s, up until today. That was the
Well, this
time.
happened pretty recently.
Yeah, so it's the correct
Yeah.
time period.
Yeah.
This was nothing ancient or early
I
1900s
want to
or
say
so.
last year, but it
Yeah.
was maybe sooner than that. So anyway, it
Mm.
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, so we're in the right time range, which is good. Machinery, power. So I start getting here, I start getting this will turn out to be the flying object. And interestingly, it has no electronics. This was very strange. No electricity in it. It doesn't use any electronics. That was very weird for me to encounter a flying thing. But we'll see. This flying thing was built by an engineer, and I really do not think that the flying craft that we will look at later, that I don't think it's alien by any means. Oh, we got pictures. We have drawings, silly me. So here's the target feedback image again, the shadowy figure behind the fence. So here's my first drawing. This guy in this jumpsuit, this orange jumpsuit, I don't know, it was very clear. Interestingly, on my first drawing, on the first paper, I just draw what I see. So the orange thing we have there, it's this glowing object. It registers as an object on a pole. And I find lots lamps, a row of lamps on it, and the lamps have this yellow light. And the ground has all these rocks, white oval stones. Everything is important. When I do a target, I want to know what the ground looks like. I want to see the scenery. I want to know where we are, what kind of landscape, because it helps to tie your session to the feedback to help you understand, were you at the target or did you miss it? This happened in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, they have a big backyard that they use for a business, and there could have been some lamps and poles and construction equipment and stuff in their backyard.
And I mean, this is Las Vegas, yeah,
Well,
in
yeah, it's
that
Las Vegas.
area.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Is it, yeah, I'm glad, because I think I'm definitely there, as we will find out. So this is the first drawing. Second drawing, I have palm trees, and that's Las Vegas, I think. Pretty good. I think they have some. I've been
Yeah.
there. I've
They
seen
probably
some
do.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all this
I've
sand
I've
on the
never been to
ground.
Vegas, full disclosure.
Yeah, and all this ground was sand, as I've drawn here on this two of the pictures. I've been to Las Vegas, and instead of green grass, where most places in the world have, like, next to the sidewalks, they will have like little bits of green grass. Not in Las Vegas. In Vegas, they got sand. It's really cool. So I think all this sand and palm trees really puts me in this correct place. I have other indicators as well later. So I'm seeing bits of this object, and oddly, it has a ladder on the right side, you see it has a ladder attached to the exterior, which when I probed why do they have a ladder against it, it's for maintenance. It's for maintenance work, so someone can climb around there on the outside. Definitely not a definitely, but I just had nothing indicating extraterrestrial or non-human about this flying object that we're going to unravel here. Even though it doesn't have electricity, it at the end of the session I end up saying it's kind of like a kite. It's a flying thing and it's kind of more like kite. It's not really airplane-ish. So that's just bits and pieces. Again, we see the bright lamps. This is a paper tracing. So this paper tracing drawings are not very beautiful. They look weird like this. But what I do is I get one element from the signal, which in this case was the dark green rectangle in the center. So I draw it, and then I start looking around it to see what kind of other components surround it. This actually says a lot. There's an orange, you see. That's an object, basically, roundish shape. We see some reflective glass, the light blue ones. We see sharp on the dark blue. We see something pointy sharp. We see probably two leaves on the side. The yellow thing on the bottom, Ari said, was a key. So what this here says is that it's describing an object composed of different components, and that this also is telling us there's no significant life form inside or on these structures. So there's a lot
What
of
is the
data.
key? What does the key mean? Sorry to interrupt. Is
No,
it, I
you can
mean,
enter.
just like a key to the front door or?
No idea. If I don't probe it, I can't say. And I'm not going to speculate. So this kind of thing, paper tracing, it also has a lot of data just from looking, if you know how to read what is there and what isn't there. But it's kind of, all over the place a bit. So here's the next. You see that we're in an area where I saw mountains, sand. It was just a landscape of sand, and that fits well with Las Vegas
Yeah, and I
area.
mean, you're definitely getting the area. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And RV said many times there's no water here. It's a dry place. That's also very good.
That's Las
Most places,
Vegas.
yeah, most
Yeah.
places are
Well,
not
I
so
haven't been there,
dry.
but I've seen the movies. It's yeah.
I've been there and it's so beautiful, like all the sun and the heat. It's like in an oven. I fell in love with it.
I've been to that part of the country. I've been to Nevada and Arizona and that whole area, but
It's
I
going to be
never actually.
similar, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like everything was sand. Like my mind, my logical mind was thinking, I wonder if it's like ancient Egypt or Mars, like all this sand, just sand everywhere. Well, yeah, okay, Las Vegas fits as well. These structures on the bottom were something geographic. Like at this stage, I'm looking from high up in the sky. I probably went 2,000 meters up above the target because I want to get a bird's eye view of the area. Like, where are we and what do we see? Like, what can I see? Instead of just staring close at the central elements, it's a good idea to get high up in the sky and just look. Okay, where are we? Sand, buildings. I saw city. I saw this tower. I saw this pyramidal. Doesn't Las Vegas have an interesting pyramidal, blue glass-like pyramid building there? I think it does.
Okay. I'll
I
take
think
your
I
word
saw
for
it.
it.
No, I seem to recall that it does. Like I had this pyramid in the sand, but
Okay.
blue pyramid, reflective.
Okay.
Definitely not
All
ancient
right.
Egypt.
Well, those guys who are watching that are more familiar with Las Vegas than I am, let me know if that means anything to you guys.
Yeah. Okay, and some structures and crystal. We'll get back to it. This building I saw somewhere. It felt like a bank. It felt a little bit like that, like a bit um, professional industry bit, like just
When
what
I
I've
saw
seen.
this picture in your data, I was really struck by the shadowy, nebulous nature of it, much like the target.
Oh no, that's a coincidence. I'm
It's
glad
a
you say
coincidence.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because when I draw, I don't see the whole world at the same time. I just see a portion. So everything that's cut off that I'm not sure of, I like to blur it because I don't know how this building continues to the side. So I just make it hazy because I don't see everything. That's why I do
Okay.
it.
So you're
Yeah.
not seeing a
No,
shadowy
by no
nebulous.
means.
Okay.
By
All right.
no means. I'm glad you asked. And this has like the big stairs, like that. Just a building, because I'm at this point, I'm up in the sky looking down, and I saw a city, I saw buildings. Then we got, okay, now we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we can look at this one and then get back to the text. Um, so I've drawn fence twice. It's different from the one on the feedback, but it's a fence. What's interesting is on the left fence, like why would I draw all of these things and then a fence? Because I saw it, that's why.
Good point.
Yeah, I draw what I see. So what's interesting is that there is no life form on the fence. It's just a fence. I'm there's no life form in this story, but we'll get back to it. So I do have a flying thing, which I start drawing here. It's kind of this airplane type of thing. And very importantly, it had no passengers. It had no chairs inside, RV said. It doesn't have passengers. And it doesn't use electricity. And it's built by an engineer, which I'm pretty sure was a human. There's
I was
nothing
going to say it
alien.
sounds drone-like,
Yes, or kite
but a
like.
drone would use electricity, you would
Yeah.
think.
It was kind of like at the very end of the session, I was just thinking, kind of like when you build a kite, you just want to see something fly. It doesn't have electronics or electricity, but it
Any
flies.
idea what powers it if it wasn't electricity?
No, I didn't get that far.
Did you discover an alternative fuel source?
I don't think
No?
something with air under it, and we'll see. We'll see what the report. I'm not going to try to find something from memory if I'm not sure. It's better to just read the text. So I don't want to say something that I didn't see in the session. So, um, no passengers, and it's very reflective. And I seen these buildings, and again this fence, and I drew myself there just to show the size of things. Here I take a closer look at this flying object, and sometimes I saw it very beautifully reflective, white, pale gray color, very smooth surface on the outside. And then sometimes I see it maybe from a different time where the surface is flaking off, kind of like old paint. And these bright lamps are on this one. So at this stage, I've gotten so far that I find the bright lamps are under it and they make a yellow light. And this one again has the ladder attached on the outside. That's still a very approximate drawing, you know, this isn't, it takes a lot of work to pat down every little inch. But this is what I'm getting when I'm touching this flying object that I have.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about the surface flaking off. And some people that have seen UFOs in the custody of what I call the UFO control group have said some of them appear to be of great age and they're very weathered looking.
Hmm.
So interesting.
Yeah. And I think this is my last drawing. I'm seeing this is late in the session, and I'm starting to get really good visuals of not just like imagine this. The very first things I see in session are a red blur or an orange blur for life form or object. In this session, no light, no red in this session, but just an example. I see just colored shapes, very blurry, out of focus. And late in session, which this is, I will start getting these flash visuals, which are very clear and not just one thing, but composite with everything in it. So what I'm getting is this city, which I wrote, it reminds me of New York City. I don't know if Las Vegas has like skyscraper kind of city area. It should, if this report is going to have some merit. I don't, unless our object went somewhere else. But I have this city, very dark black colors, skyscrapers which are black, but they have a blue and purple reflection, and lots of window glass and tall. And I see this object flying. It flies close to these skyscrapers. It's not high up, it's too close almost. It's very close to buildings. And at this stage, I see that it's flat, a right flat airplane. It has these pointy things at the back. And I'll just mention these green marbles. Something weird is I was looking inside to try to look at the mechanics or what's inside. It has a weird thing with these green marbles arranged in a U, and it can shift like this, or it can shift like this. I didn't look closer what that means or does, but it's part of the operation somehow. And here again, this one. So
What did the marbles mean again?
something inside the craft. It's some component of the stuff in there, and it does things. It's like they're arranged in a U, kind of like beads, and it
Are
will
they
shift.
big marbles? Or are they little marbles?
I'm not sure. I didn't probe. Like there's 100 different things, individual things to look at in a session. It's just not possible. Someone would have to tell me during a session, look closer at this one. So I don't
Okay,
know.
okay,
I don't know.
keep going, keep going.
Yeah. So I have this flying object, which was built by an engineer. And at one time, as I'm inspecting this thing that turns out to be the flying craft, someone says, "Stop, this is sovereign property." I was yelled at. No warfare is done with these. So none of what I find has to do with weapons or warfare or hurting someone either. The bright lamps on the flying craft. The lamps glow due to chemistry or chemicals, but not due to electricity current. There are no wires inside the lamps. I found that very interesting because most lamps glow because of electricity, but this one glows with yellow light because of chemicals in it. Very strange, unusual. And
So you say chemicals. Could that be what powers the UFO instead of electricity?
I'm not sure. I didn't get so far.
Okay, okay.
The main object is made of plastics inside, plastic materials, which sounds like humans. Like, I just can't imagine aliens having plastic. I don't know. I don't know. A lot of people fear this item, not like a panic fear, but like a worry fear. This is the flying object again. Like, I saw people pointing at it and they were like fearful of it, but not with panic, more like worried. Rocks and pebbles on the ground. We have that. No animals here. Oil. I had a lot of black oil, a black pasty oil that was made into a plastic material. I saw that often.
Could this be the UFO that may have crashed?
It was part of, this oil was part of the flying object. And I saw this black oil was dripping down from it.
You said that people were yeah, a lot of people fear this item, not like panic fear, but like a worry fear.
Yeah.
A lot of people were seeing that meteor thing in the sky, and I just wonder if you're connecting with that. And it was green, by the way. Yeah, the green marbles. I don't know, just
Oh, that's too far-fetched.
yeah, yeah.
um, Tower mast, glass-like polymers, and a policeman car drives by. I saw that again. So I looked closer at the policeman. So the policeman's car cannot fly. The policeman was not angry, not furious, not intimidating anybody, no weapons inside, a guarding man. A policeman, a superman, RV said. So I look closer, like, why would RV say that the policeman is a superman? It's because he can do things that others cannot. He can make things count quickly in the head. Nobody else can count that fast that I have ever seen. Not so the policeman, this is funny. I looked at him. The policeman is not a gentleman. He collects the item, the main object. He's not sad about anything. He's not angry. He wants to drive fast. He collects items here. He is not a menace. He wants to be liked. I love when I have a human and I just go for it and write down all of his personal emotions and personality and stuff. He doesn't like to be angry, so he tries to stay calm. He wants to go home. He wants to be done with his mess. He wants to be not angry. He wants to leave. So, so the main object doesn't drive fast. No people inside the flying object. No electronics. It doesn't operate with electricity. Okay, here I investigated. How does the main object, the flying object, operate? Pockets of air that are riled up below it. No people drive it. It doesn't have driving equipment. It has heat inside, but it doesn't let the heat out. And then something about the peeling flakes of metal from a surface again. So I went inside of the flying object. It doesn't get cold, no wires or cables. It can drive without electric current. And here's interesting. So the function, I pick up that it was made by really wealthy people, like like the crazy, stupid rich, like the massively rich people who have more money than they know what to do with, who could buy continents and countries if they wanted. They made this flying thing.
Well, that okay. I can see that. I can see that if this was a man-made UFO, that would be the case, or could be the case. Totally.
There's no water here. This happens someplace dry. And that's perfect for Las Vegas. It's just so dry. I've been there. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're definitely picking up on the environment.
Yeah. There is something called a hadron. Reminds me of the concept of the Hadron Collider, a particle collider. That is the only place I know the word hadron, though it could have a different meaning here. I've never seen the word hadron used anywhere else in the Hadron Collider, but this is somehow part of things
Yeah, you science guys, let us know.
here. One of the lamps has a pulsating magnetometer, whatever that is, but I'm picking up on these sciencey terms. No water here. This place is dry. Some kind of mud or sand covers this place. And I see inside of this flying object, there are these, at least one huge crystal, white crystal, which is kind of a ball shape and has lots of pointy, faceted sides. So I look closer at the crystal here. The crystal inside of the craft. At this stage, I don't know that it's inside the craft, but later in session, I found it there. I drew it actually. There it is, crystal on the top left. Crystal doesn't break very easily, doesn't crash, doesn't do anything. It just sits there. Not made out of lemons. I swear, this is all coming from RV download. It says the weirdest things. For some reason, this is data.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Does
Uh,
that mean maybe it's not acidic or something? I don't know. That's a stretch. I don't
Sometimes
know.
when RV says something weird, I'm able to understand what it meant by it, but in this one, no idea.
Well, if it was made out of lemons, now that would be something.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, this is interesting about the crystal. It has been left alone for a long time, for centuries. Weird. And so forth. This crystal does not vibrate or reverberate. In some technologies that use crystals, there will be the use of vibrations. This one, no, does not vibrate. Interesting. And so forth. Crystal has a lot of sharp edges. And always this polymer material, which is kind of like the plastic that I'm picking up on. There is an interesting crystalline matrix, says RV, about the material of the main object. I was shown in perfect detail the chemical structure of the material with atoms and chemical bonds, short chemical bonds. So the bonds between atoms are short, which means they're close together, and it means that the material is dense and strong. Things like this. Lots of spiky white crystals outside. So the flying structure has no passengers. RV was repeating this. So there is a massive oil leak on the ground. It looks like a round patch of sticky black liquid tar. An oil polymer has melted, which formed this oil on the ground. I saw it many times. I see a white thing up in the sky. It has one blunt end. The surface of the object is smooth. The color is a pale gray. It is rotating around and around as it, at the same time, spirals down toward the ground. Something about how it moves makes it look like a malfunction. At least that is my opinion. Most of the time, when I see the airplane, it is almost always seen parked and standing still on the ground. So this airplane flying thing is dusty on the outside surface, is not made out of glass. There was no glass material. Like you would think an airplane would have windows. Actually, I don't think airplane windows are glass. There probably also would be a plastic polymer. So
That
that's
makes
probably,
sense.
yeah, you
Yeah.
wouldn't have glass because if it breaks, it would injure
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, this flying thing does not have any window glass. It's made out of polymer, and I think polymer is almost the same as plastic. It has an antenna mast pointing up. I drew it like a short, thin stick, crusty, flaking off in a way that looks like old rusted metal or paint, which is peeling off in flakes. Lots of engineering equipment inside. No heat is generated by the equipment inside. The airplane weighs very little. And here I do find cables and connected wires, but we remember no electricity. And a pump, it is not made out of anything valuable. It was crafted by a handyman, like a technician, and no life forms inside it. It's not made for passenger travel. It has ice on the outside against the exterior surface. So here I start probing the airplane thing. The wings are called stabilizers. They keep the craft stable. There is no heavy equipment in the wings. Non-combustible engine, meaning not a combustion engine. Non-fast equipment, meaning it's not a fast moving thing. Then I look at the dorsal fin. There were the lamps. Again, non-combustible engine. Some screws. Doesn't sound very extraterrestrial, what we would imagine. It's very human type of things. Then I look at the back tail and hot air at the back. And again, the liquid black oil is dripping. The oil is not flammable. The oil, the black oil that I keep seeing, is a molten polymer. There's an engine failure, which is not a human's fault because the engine was built correctly. And it's not a passenger plane. No windows, no car glass. There's the ladder again. There is no fume or smoke emanating from the flying thing.
Now, I don't want to interrupt, but I just
Oh,
want
you
to,
can.
is there any indication of how this plane structure relates to the primary target?
We'll see. Let's read through and see if things start to wrap together.
Okay, okay.
uh, Small particles like soot and so forth, and something cracks and breaks. Again, the oil from a craft. This is not a crash site, however, this is a retrievable item. I see a car, engineer. The lamps that it has are warning lights for others to not get too close. There are no newspapers written about this place, but what place am I looking at there? Okay, the city, skyscrapers. A car comes and picks up the main object. I saw like this retrieval. Someone drove here with a car and retrieved some things from the ground. Not made in China or North Korea, Arvi wanted to say. Looks like an airplane that is flying in the sky in an area that is a big city with black skyscraper buildings. The airplane flies very close to the buildings. One of the buildings looks like a pyramid with a light blue glass pyramid top. I think Las Vegas has a big pyramid building, which is blue glass. I'm not sure. I know it has some kind of pyramid
Yeah, I don't know.
there. And how much left? So I see this white flying thing, and it just flies like it's about to as if it were about to crash into the city. I don't know if it does. And this white billowing smoke of white colored air starts emitting. And then I see the flag of USA, which makes sense because if it's Las Vegas. And I've seen this craft very clearly. One time, at first, I saw it rotating around as it descends. Very strange. But at this time, I saw it rotating around, not like really making some loops with a radius, not just around itself, rotating around and ascending. So the fact that it's ascending as well means it's not really malfunction. Why it was rotating and descending, you might think it's broken, but the fact that it can do it upward as well should mean that
It's not a crash or anything.
yeah, because it can go up again as
Yeah.
well and rotate. And Arvi says this flying thing likes spinning. And here we
Who
go.
doesn't like spinning?
Okay. A policeman is chasing it on the ground. The policeman we encountered earlier in session is driving a car on the ground and seems to be following the flying object, whereas the flying object is up in the sky. The flying object that likes to spin has signal lights, emits lights that are signal lights. We're almost done here. There are no windows on the flying object. Strange, fascinating mechanisms, liquid oil pump. It has the crystals inside that I described. There is, at this time, I saw a man inside the craft. But again, not told as a life form element. It's as if Arvi didn't want me to have a life form for this target. Even though I was told about the policeman and told about this engineer and so forth. No one can catch this flying object. It flies really fast, and motor mechanism, an airlift device, a valve, a pressure gauge meter, and oil liquid. And this oil was dripping as a spent fuel. No mechanics, only a motor. And RV seemed to mean no computer technology. A lubricant fuel. What is flying object used for? It is just a flying craft. It is not used for anything special. It is not a ticking time bomb either, Harvey says, adding some drama. Why was it built by an engineer who has fun making those? I get the feeling at this stage that this flying object is more or less just a more refined kite, just a fun thing to build to see it flying in the sky. It is moving fast, like at lightning speed. I see it flying in the sky, not very high up, in a city that has skyscrapers. At daylight, it flies close to the buildings, and that's the end.
Now,
So,
was this object powered by electricity, or was this
no,
also
no, this
okay?
is the thing that isn't.
Okay, so all right, so this is a flying thing made by a wealthy individual or individuals. Uh,
Commissioned by, but made by an engineer who's probably not so wealthy.
sure, yeah, but it was, he hired the engineer, I assume, to make this thing.
Seems.
So, so it was, some wealthy person had this thing made, for you would think for some purpose, this exotic craft with no electricity, but you say it's just like a kite, you
That
know.
was that was my RV didn't say it's like a kite. That was my thought at the end. Like it's just flies like a kite flies without electricity or power, and it's just fun to fly. It's just watch it fly. That's the sense I had at the end.
But it's not, just to clarify, it's not a kite, right?
No, no, no.
It's some sort of exotic craft that,
Yeah.
and it flies close to buildings, but I'm assuming that those buildings can't see it. So makes it even more exotic.
Why can't the
It's
building see
commissioned
it?
by a wealthy person,
No,
but
people
for
can.
no particular purpose. I'm trying to make sense of this object.
No,
It's
people can
weird.
see it. People can see it. People were pointing at it.
People, but this is an exotic thing,
It's a
right?
weird. It was built for fun by a very intelligent, arrogant engineer, handyman.
But it's not a kite. It's an
No,
actual
no.
aircraft that
Yeah, yeah.
is capable of maneuvering and doing weird stuff, right?
I'm not sure how it maneuvers and such, but something. So this flying thing that was seen associated to these figures in the garden. What did that look like? You said it was dark green. This comet or what?
Yeah, I
Was
mean,
it a
it looked
comet?
like a fireball kind of comet thing, but there is a species of UFO that's called the fireball UFO.
Was it
Uh,
yellow light or green? You said.
the one in Vegas was green,
Hmm.
and it's not the only one that has been observed to be green. But was that a meteor? Was that a UFO? We don't know. If the aliens did crash in a UFO, where is that object?
No, no, there was
Uh,
no life. There were no beings inside of this flying thing that I had. Well,
okay, but the wrinkle to that is if you were picking up on the primary object, the being behind the fence, but you weren't seeing it as a life form, would you see life forms aboard the UFO or the craft? Would you see them as life forms if they were, artificially created in some way?
I would have described them. I would have drawn them as figures,
Okay.
presumably. Now the thing is, I've had real aliens, presumably real aliens in remote viewing targets before, and I'm able to draw them, and they register as life forms with the red initial color. But here I've drawn a fence. I've drawn fences with no life forms at them. I think that's significant. And now I'm leaning. Have you seen the footage? Does it look like
The
real
backyard
beings?
footage?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Does it look like, be very scientific here. Does it look like beings?
It looks like something is cloaked. It looks like a shadowy form. There is a shadow where there shouldn't be a shadow because it's not on any surface. It's not generating the number of pixels that it should generate as the rest of the image. So as if something is actually cloaking itself digitally as well as visually. They were also seeing beings in the backyard, further in the backyard. So yeah, I think something happened there. So I think whatever was behind that fence was probably a being. I mean, I would love to know for sure, and I would love to know what sort of being. Is it an artificial being? Is it a organic being of some sort of blend of the two? I don't know what's going on. You
Could it
know,
be? But why would they call it, like, if it was a hoax, they wouldn't call the police to come and look at it.
yeah,
In
it
They
seems
wouldn't. They
unlikely.
wouldn't,
Seems
like,
unlikely.
because the police wouldn't. They just wouldn't. I don't think. Like, why would you
Yeah,
make a
no,
hoax with pictures and video and call the police? That's too. I don't know.
yeah,
I
and the
think.
the police weren't saying that it was a hoax. They were saying if what little they've said was favorable toward the family,
Oh,
and but they haven't shared their body camera footage. So you know,
well, I don't mind failing a session sometimes. It happens. Some of the world's best remote viewers who make the most beautiful reports fail up to 50% of their targets. That's okay. Then we just try again. It's normal to fail.
well, I mean, I don't think it
But
was a failure. I
no, I
think
don't
that
either.
you were getting the area, you were
The
getting the
police.
region, you were getting some sort of stingy object with two eyes that had been on the news.
Yeah.
So that could have been the primary object that didn't want you to look at it. Maybe, you know. So maybe that was it. Maybe, and then somehow you connected with this flying object. Whatever it was. I'm still very interested in what that flying object was. Built,
Yeah.
commissioned by a wealthy individual, massively wealthy, an oligarch, for no purpose, using exotic technology. That, how does that make sense?
I mean, I feel about 1 in 10 sessions is my normal under a normal protocol. But we have the area. I'm satisfied that I'm very likely that I was in Las Vegas with the palm trees and the desert, and I didn't find any oceans nearby. Like, isn't Las Vegas like right in the middle of the desert? Like, normally I will find sense when I go up in the sky, I will sense the coast somewhere near. This was in the desert, and the palm trees and I think the pyramid and the skyscrapers. I'll probably find it. I'll look for pictures of Las Vegas, what it looks like.
And you also
Oh, they
getting
have
the
a
policeman?
I have the policeman very specifically. I have the news. I have the fence. I drew the fence several times. 2 times I drew the fence with no life form. So what do I make of this? The frustrating thing is that remote viewers, we like to think that the thing that remote views is another part of our mind called the subconscious. It's like I'm the consciousness right here talking, and then everyone has a subconsciousness, which is this all knowing thing that doesn't talk with words usually. It knows things, but how I don't know how to explain. It's frustrating because we're working with remote viewing, at least for me, it's like I'm working with another me, which is it doesn't just tell me what is the target, give me the answer. We have to work through and skip through all of these little clues and probe them and work hard and gradually build it up, and it still won't tell me the shadowy figure is this. It's like everything's dreamy in a way. So I don't. And the thing is, i'm frustrated I'm frustrated that I don't understand my subconscious, which is trying to tell me the target, the answer. But the subconscious is probably also frustrated with me because it's trying to tell me. It knows what I want to know. It knows what the target is from the future. and it's trying to tell me what I want to know, and I'm not understanding. I don't understand what it's saying. Like when it said something about lemons, I have no idea what that means, but it's trying to say something. So we're two things frustrated. We're trying to communicate because I don't understand how my session, how my subconsciousness has been telling me all this data. It's trying to tell me what we want to know, but I don't understand it. I'm frustrated. I don't understand this.
Well, I don't understand it either, Anita. I wish I did. It's a mystery to me, the mysterious ways of remote viewing and surfing those consciousness waves. And what I don't know. I don't get it. I think it's super fascinating, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this for us. So thank you so much, Anita. Everybody go check out our YouTube channel, check out our website. Can you give us the names of your your channel and your website?
They both, so my website is Elements Empathic Cognizance. It's a
All right,
hard
there
one
you go.
to
And I'll give a
spell,
link to it
.com.
below. So go check that out and give a big thank you to Anita for spending the time on this excellent remote viewing of the Las Vegas backyard alien. Thank you,
I'll
Anita.
thank you. I'll just say I did not have life forms in the session. I mean, I had the policemen and such, but they were stories about them. I didn't have life form. So I'm sadly I'm leaning on no aliens on this one.
Okay, well, there you go, guys. No aliens. So give Anita a big thank you and a thumbs up and a like and all that kind of good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road signing out. All right, I will end the recording.
Frustrating. Like you've given me how many aliens now, and I think the skinny Bob might be something, but the
Yeah,
others,
that Skinny Bob was weird. That was interesting. Yeah, yeah.
everything else I've kind of said no, no, not alien, no, no life form.
No life forms. Well, that is fascinating, and thank you really for doing this. And whether we're closer to the answering the mystery or not, I don't know, but it's fascinating to watch the process of figuring this out.
I'll tell you one weird thing though. Um, During this session, I was seeing this black figure. Are you still recording?
No, 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 I'm stopped. Oh, you're recording though, but I've
I'm
stopped.
recording. I'll probably include this on my end. I don't know. Maybe you want to include. Can you record again? What happens if you record again? Maybe
I
this
don't
is
know if I
interesting.
record again. It would probably be okay. I don't think it would record over what I did,
Not
but
over, but
just in case, I'm not going to hit record.
okay. So this will be a special thing on my end. During this session, I saw. This is real. I saw this black figure, which was really creepy, and it even put its hands on my shoulder. And it got so scary that on the second day, which is today, as I was remote viewing, I was thinking, I have to go to church and start reading the Bible and praying because this is something very negative. And last night, so I started remote viewing yesterday, and today was day 2 of remote viewing. Last night, which is the night in between the 2 RV days, I had one of the worst nightmares of my life. I don't even
Huh.
know if I want to describe it. It was horrendous. So I dreamt about this hotel. I was in a hotel room and there was this woman there in a bed, and I can't even describe it. Like this group of people were gonna like take body parts. I'm not describing it. It was so shocking and traumatic. One of the worst nightmares I ever had. This being, and as soon as I finished this session and ended it, this being finally left. It was this black figure and kind of had a face and it was tall. And I've also seen, I don't know, this session somehow seemed to open a portal. I was seeing all kinds of alien beings. but it wasn't RV data. I wanted to draw them in this report. I wanted to write about them on the text report, but it was just things around me, so I didn't want to put them in the session report, which I maybe regret now, because had I put this dark being and written about my nightmare, it would have seemed relevant at this stage. Um, I saw these aliens so clearly, and they were like visiting me and looking at me, talking to me, and especially this dark figure, which was very scary and negative.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
And
so
it
I
was
don't,
putting his hands on your shoulder?
yeah, the nightmare was the worst. But anyway, I didn't include it because it was like something happening around me, but it wasn't data from the target number. It wasn't from the target signal. So anyway, I just
Well, I mean,
mentioned
it could have been related though. I mean, you're seeing a
it could
dark
have
figure.
been. It could have been. Yeah,
Uh,
I should have included it.
yeah, we should have talked about that. That could have been relevant.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of scary though.
Oh, it was. I mean,
Uh,
it was so scary that I was thinking I have to like pick up a religion, become a Christian, like
Hey,
properly.
there's alien abductions that have been stopped by shouting the name Jesus, and
Yeah.
that is a thing. I don't know what it means, but it is
Mm.
a thing. I had my own Jesus event, so I'm not a Christian, but I believe in Jesus.
I do too. I really do. But anyway, I don't understand this session. I'm gonna see if I can find this video to look at. I'm also gonna look at some pictures. What does Las Vegas look like? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna find a pyramid there, like this glass
Okay, yeah.
pyramid.
Well, let me know how that goes, and I hope you get a better night's sleep tonight.
Oh well, he's gone. So
Okay, you're sure he's
yeah,
gone?
yeah. As soon as I finished, ended the session and wrote end session time, gone.
Do you think he was warning you away from any information, or
No, no.
why did he only show
He
up
was.
during the session?
I don't know. He was just looking at me. It was like a
Hmm.
portal open to aliens, to a lower dimension. That's the impression I had. But I don't know. It's kind of out there, so I didn't include it anywhere in the session or mention it really. But that
Well,
happened.
that is super fascinating. I wonder if that was the being, or some related
I don't
being.
know. Yeah.
But
Well, like I'm pretty sure I went to Vegas. I'm happy with that, and I had the fence.
you were getting the area, you're getting
Yeah,
the fence, you're
the
getting the
policeman.
policeman. I mean, you were definitely hitting stuff.
So the fact that there wasn't alien beings kind of makes me have to lean on that. But why would they call the police? I don't know. It is what it is. We get what
Well,
we
I mean,
get.
a professional crime scene analyst, and video analyst has, said that, yeah, there's like half the number of pixels there should be in the area where that cloaked figure is. Uh,
Wow.
it's weird, Anita. Something was going on there, and there were other
Oh.
figures in the more alien figures that weren't cloaked further back in the yard.
Mm.
Um, I don't know what, who knows, but they were seeing something that I think was real. And since that event, they've had poltergeist activity, ghost activity.
Oh boy.
Yeah, which is often
After.
afterwards. Yeah,
Oh, that's creepy.
it's creepy.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this is what I get, what I got from the number. So that's all
Well,
there
I,
is
I
to
think that's super fascinating. And all right, yeah, yeah. Well,
it.
send me your video when you're done, and because I may want to include this because I think that's really interesting and maybe
Yeah.
maybe relevant to the target. So
Okay, I'll get it
uh,
to you tomorrow because it's
okay,
already
yeah,
late
no, I'm
here.
I'm leaving town on Thursday, and I'll be gone for a couple of days, but I may post this extra as a bonus video. So
Yeah.
no hurry on getting it to
Well,
me,
in that
but
case, I can try. I can get it to you today. All I have to do is send it. But how do I send it?
if you want to, you can just link me to your YouTube video, and I can download it from YouTube.
Okay, okay, I will do that.
Well, once it goes up, once it's published.
Okay. Actually, if I do it tomorrow morning, tomorrow is Wednesday.
But it
Tomorrow
has to be
morning.
it has to be the raw video. There can't be any music. So
Right.
yeah, so I don't know. 'Cause I know sometimes you add music and stuff.
No, I just add a little intro, like a text, but you can
Okay,
cut
well
that,
that's
can't
fine.
you?
That's fine. I just need that one segment. So
Yeah, anyway, you're anyway gonna cut most of it off
yeah, I'm just gonna
because
use
you
that one
have
snippet.
most.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, then you can download it and no, but I have a watermark on the bottom. We'll figure it out.
Okay.